Hi, I'm Duncan. I'm Commercial Director at Primenet. First of all, a huge thank you to everyone who's taken the time to join us today. We understand that you're very, very busy, and hopefully this will be valuable for your lives. Also, a big thank you to our speakers from our technology partner, Exponential-e. We've got Eric, who's going to be talking about Exponential-e and giving you a brief company overview. Tom Nichols will be looking at cloud connectivity through to public clouds. And then at the end, we've got Jonathan Bridges, who's CIO of Exponential-e, talking about the cloud management portal. So very briefly before we do that, I just wanted to make sure that you're all aware of exactly who Primenet are. We're an enterprise services company. We're part of the Systems Express Group, and we bring excellence to the delivery of data center solutions. So what I mean by that is we provide maintenance, managed services, and the ability to help our clients go out there, design, build, procure, and test the best solutions for their applications. Very, very quickly, Primenet is 100% focused on delivering client outcomes. So whether your business is looking to improve the performance of your infrastructure, manage complexity, or reduce risk through increased compliance, speak to us. There's a very good chance that we can help out. Very briefly, these are some of the clients that we deliver managed services, maintenance, and service desk to. They range across the UK and Europe. If you've got a business out there and you want to have a conversation with us about anything to do with data center infrastructure, do start by having a conversation with us. So apart from that, that's my part over and done with. I'm now going to pass on to Eric, who will talk through Exponential-e.
Thanks, Duncan. Thanks for that introduction. Myself and Duncan established a bit of communication a couple of months back, and since then we've onboarded this as a technology partnership. So what we really want to get across today is an introduction to Exponential-e as a company and as a trusted technology partner of Primenet. Those of you who aren't too aware of who Exponential-e are, we're a UK network provider founded in 2002. So since our founding in 2002, we were originally founded by our now acting still CEO, Lee Ways, and who to this day is very much involved in the day-to-day running of the company. To give you an indication of how we were actually founded and what were the prompts to founding, Lee originally came from a finance background, and when Ofcom ordered the unbundling of BT Openreach exchanges in early 2002, our CEO Lee Wade spotted an opportunity to provide some low latency, cost-effective fibre Ethernet to the finance houses of London, who really needed it the most. So from day one of Exponential-e, the core focus has been about delivering the best customer service in the UK. The foundation of our business is a carrier class fibre network with a 100 gig Ethernet core built behind that, which has been running for up over 10 years. It's over this network which underpins the service we deliver, providing solid foundations for corporate networks, the coverage of which can reach up to 90% of the UK, the businesses across the UK. So we've also made large investments into security, cloud, data center infrastructure. So one of the key attributes of the Exponential-e network is that it's actually organically grown. Exponential-e has never acquired a company. It's never acquired any network infrastructure. The network has grown year on year due to constant reinvestment, while also strategically targeting key areas across the UK in which to expand. So from day one, when Lee initially invested in our first kind of Openreach exchange across London for providing fairly basic, fairly simple, fast connectivity into office places, that's now grown to over 200 unbundled exchanges across the UK. And we've now invested into over 35 data centers across the UK. So it really is a truly UK-wide network, providing a whole suite of services right through from layer one connectivity right up to managed services. I've got some key stats kind of splashed across the screen there in front of you, which you can view there. I've also got my colleague Tom Nichols on. Tom's one of our solutions architects here at Exponential-e, and the hope of having Tom on, because I understand this is more of a technical audience, is Tom's basically going to talk through the inception of our network and how it's got to the point it is today, on a more finesse technical level. So I'll let Tom introduce himself.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Tom Nichols, Solutions Consultant here at Exponential-e. I've been with the company over 5 years at this point, and I'd like to talk to you just about the technical side of our network. So Exponential-e is a business-only network. So we've only targeted businesses, and our primary target, as Eric talked about back in the day in 2002, was finance customers. So we were targeting the low latency market. High frequency trading was a very big area in 2002, and being a pure Ethernet-based network, we were able to offer very, very low latencies to the platforms I needed to connect to. 2007, we launched our VPLS on a completely homogeneous network, which has been the key point of our growth going forward. Exponentially, our organically grown network, completely homogeneous on that, which has allowed us to bring in the cloud, voice and services and data center services on top of this network. And this is all backed up by 8 BSI standards, 7 of which are complete ISOs. As I said, we're targeting the financial market purely for low latency connection, and we've kept that going. So what we're going to talk about today is our low latency connection to our cloud providers, giving you more security, more reliability, and it's completely private because it's direct to the cloud provider. This is your typical model. So if you look at the bottom here at the customer site, everyone has a circuit into their building, and this is going to go up via the internet to your cloud provider, be it, for example, Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. Now the issue is you're not going to go directly to them. You're going to go via the internet and via as many networks. In this instance, it's 4 this time, but next time it might be 5, it might be 3. You never really know how you're going to get to these public cloud providers because it's the internet. That's just the nature of it. It's completely flat. It'll select the best route at that time. So what we've introduced is we're trying to bring the public cloud provider more on net for us. So we're actually bringing them down to our network. So both, example, Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure are available via what we call the Cloud Connect Exchange. We have a platform which connects directly to Microsoft and directly to Amazon, and we can deliver that down your circuit to you. Exponentially has always talked about how we've had multiple services running over one exchange. So you will have your internet connection and you will have your Azure connection, for example. And this will be directly connected into your Exponentially router. You'll run a single routing protocol from you up to our cloud exchange and then on to Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. This means that you will always go the same route to and from your cloud provider, giving you a more reliable connection, a lower latency connection, and because it's over our private network, it's completely secure and you're not traveling by the public internet. And we're able to do this to Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and more recently we're able to support Microsoft connections. So Microsoft Azure is split into currently 3 types of connection. You have your private connection, which goes to Microsoft Azure, the IaaS platform. You have Office 365, which is over the Microsoft-based connection, and the public connection, which is via the old platform to 365. The private connections are all private IPs, as you'd expect, and Office 365 is public IPs. So we'll have to go via a firewall, but that's not a problem for us. The next thing we'd like to talk about is our cloud management platform. So we're going to have to hand over to Jonathan Bridges.
Can we take any sort of immediate questions from the audience? Anything would have cropped up over what myself or Tom Nichols might have gone through?
Yeah. My question really has to do with the kind of network you provide. Is it owned by Exponential-e, or do you have contract with other network providers?
So for the Cloud Connect Exchange piece, you're going to travel over the Exponential-e network. This is an organically grown network completely owned by Exponential-e. When you connect to Microsoft Azure, we have our own platform which plugs into Equinix, platform, and then we go on to Microsoft Azure and Amazon Web Services.
Okay.
We do also offer direct connections to Amazon Web Services, where we use our cross connects over directly to Amazon.
Okay.
For larger base connections, so we're talking 500 meg out up to 10 gig.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to pass you over to our CIO, Jonathan Bridges.
So it's really interesting. You've just heard about the connectivity and the integration of the connectivity into the wider public cloud. We have, as the guys articulated, a very large customer base that connects into that platform and gives that feature function capability across that. The challenge we all have now is that we have customers who have services that are delivered both on-premise and off-premise and have a multi-platform hybrid cloud environment. And what we've done is looked at that and tried to find a way to address that market whilst integrating connectivity in those services within that to give a more effective sort of service plane for our customers. So the way we did that is we built out what we call our cloud management platform. And put it simply, our cloud management platform provides federation between multiple clouds. And what it allows you to do through one service interface is manage all of your different cloud environments or all of our customers' cloud environments through one service interface. You can see here, actually, hopefully live on the video, the cloud management platform in action. What we have within the cloud management platform is the ability, as I mentioned, to connect into both on-premise existing infrastructure as well as connecting into the public cloud. You can see here a huge list of capabilities that sit within it from a public and a private perspective, connecting into the likes of Amazon, Azure, Google, etc., as well as the connectivity into back-end infrastructure platforms that may be within your data centers. It could be a vCenter environment for VMware, it could be an SCVMM environment that's used for Hyper-V, and any of those pieces. Through the platform, what we can then do is create controls and management across all of those so that you have that single visibility to provision resources across those. As a CSP, what that also means is if you want to have a singular engagement, singular bill for all of those services, we can provide a singular bill across those whole platforms. When you start thinking about this in relation to the connectivity side of things, obviously, any of your customers that you've already engaged with or any people you've already got connectivity into, any existing cloud exchange connections, on the back of that, we've got public cloud. So this gives you an ability then to visualize all of those back-end platform services within that. The platform also has loads of additional feature functions that sit within it, allowing you to increase the level of automation that you have within your environment. What we're all trying to do in any of our platform services at the moment is increase the speed and the efficiency that we have in delivering services. Within the platform, we have two things really that work well. One is that we have a blueprint engine, and the blueprint engine allows you to actually build applications and build services through a single GUI interface. If you already have spent or invested times with other technologies like Terraform or Puppet or Chef, you can also integrate those services into the platform as well. What I mean by that is that you can take your custom scripts, leverage them in the platform, and create those automations. What's good about those, obviously, though, is that as you build out these automations, you can really deliver them in a hybrid cloud concept. So if you want to have a front-end application layer that sits in AWS, but you want your back-end database layer sat within an infrastructure platform you have on-premise, you can select those through those. You can also look at the cost control management across that. You can probably see a little blue squiggle on the screen under the memory one. That allows you actually to look at the plans on the different services, so you can see this would be cheaper or more expensive on AWS or Azure. The automation that sits around this really allows you to then start to think about binding services, putting services together and offering them as a catalog, as an internal service provider, as well as speeding up the way that you deliver dev and test environments, giving your internal customers the ability to use these services and build them all together. If you think about then and start putting that together, then what basically we're saying is that you have this ability through this one single service interface to consume Amazon, Azure, Google, as well as connect into your existing services. Then if you want to deploy a new private cloud architecture, you can fully integrate that into that. So you might be looking for a new hyper-converged platform that you want to deploy into a particular region or into a data center or on-premise an existing data center you've got. you can connect that in. You can then automate your application landscapes and then define where you want them to go, whether that be on a VMware platform, a Microsoft platform, an Amazon, and create those blueprints and templates. Where the rubber really hits the road, though, is then what you can do and the power of the platform that sits around that. So if you then want to use the platform to really understand your estate more effectively, you can think of the role-based access permissions within there to keep controls and management around the environment. As an example, you can then do an inventory across every platform you've got. For example, I've got someone at the moment who's got platforms in 10 different locations worldwide, Amazon, Azure, Google, private cloud. Connecting them all in immediately, they can see their total cloud usage across the whole of their company worldwide, just by doing the connectors and integrating the platform. Very simple. They can then start to look at the analysis that sits around that. So look at cost per cloud. In this example, 56% of the spend is on Amazon. So you can start to kind of see the cost controls around that and actually see, I've got a private cloud that's underutilized. How can I more effectively leverage that? They can look at things like utilization of the environments to understand how utilization is happening within the environments, what's going on with that, the quality of that. But really where the rubber hits the road is really in the guidance section. And what we've always wanted is there's lots of companies out there who plug in tools into public cloud environments and charge you 2% royalties or 3% royalties of your revenue to save you some percentages in money. Inbuilt within the platform, we've got an engine that automatically looks across all your environments and looks at the cost base of those and how you could optimize it. This one, for example, was a shutdown. If they shut down that because it's not been used, they'd save 35. The next one you can see here is that memory's underutilized. They can move to a smaller tier, and through moving to that smaller tier, they can save X amount of money. What you can then do with that is we've built in the automation so that you can then execute those changes. So you can execute those pieces and actually move and migrate those workloads. So today, really, the CMP part of this was really like a snippet, just to give you a bit of a view of what that is. We can obviously do some more deeper dive sessions on that. But when you start to look at these two things together, when you combine the platform and the network together, you can actually, now you're in a situation where you can have one control plane to deliver all your private and public cloud services through one service interface. You can do full cost control, cost management, and cost delivery across that. And integrated to that, you can have all the things that were talked about with the guys before around the connectivity integration to that, to allow connectivity into the cloud exchanges, manage those connections. And downstream with things like software-defined WAN, there'll be increased level of automation that we will be doing around this. Some of the future roadmap pieces we have around this as well is we'll have a feature within here very shortly where you have one-click migration. So if you want to move, literally select a virtual machine, move it from one platform to another, one-click migration from A to B. They're some of the features that we're adding into it, and there's a rich roadmap that sits around that. I was just asked today to come and give you a bit of a high level on that, and obviously open for any questions that anyone has on that. Please feel free to jump up and ask some questions on that. Else we can go into a wider pass back and go back to a wider Q&A session.
Raj. Hello, Raj. You
Hi,
had a
Ron.
question. Hi. You had a question about the layer 2 connectivity.
Yes, it is. I think earlier when Joseph asked a question, I think you said that it's your own network, organic network. Does this mean that you don't use the BT's backbone and you have your own network, or what does it mean by your own network?
So Exponential-e, we have our own network. So in 2002, when BT was split into wholesale and OpenReach, we started unbundling exchanges ourselves. So that means our equipment in the exchanges. Today we're sitting at over 200 plus points of presence. So in BT exchanges we have our own kit with our own fibers running between them, not necessarily BT, and 35 on-net data centers.
Okay, so if BT had some problem, then will you be affected or not? I think, for example, BT had a countrywide or even countrywide issue once. So does that affect you or not? So
we're not solely reliant on BT for that. So depending on the nature of the issue, of course, we may not be affected at all.
Yeah. So if let's say if Azure doesn't have a problem, and we have a direct connection from you, Express Grid, then we will not be affected if BT has any problem on their network, do we?
Yeah, of course. So it's completely issue dependent. So it's depending on what sort of issue. If we look a few years ago, there was a huge fire under Holborn Road in London. where lots of the fibres was damaged and destroyed at that point, then obviously that's going to be a multi-carrier issue, not necessarily just BT. But if BT's network is having an issue and it's just their customer basis, chances are you will not be affected if you're using an Exponential-e tail, because we have a direct fibre which runs to you.
Okay, that's brilliant. And who does the installation? Do you, I think, network guys does it, or is it the BT? I think usually who comes out and.
So BT still have the monopoly on the infrastructure. So BT OpenReach, the infrastructure provider, will run the fibre in, but that fibre will come directly back into our equipment.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I was trying to get. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Raj. We got a question here that was written to me, again, to Expo-e, and regarding the layer 2 connectivity. And the question is, in the public cloud, can we use internal IPs and put these behind our internal network security if needed?
So from this perspective, the network itself is layer 2, but we are layer 3 on the edge. So we have to run a BGP session between us and Microsoft or us and Amazon to do this. So you could do some sort of tunneling. SD-WAN is certainly an option here. It's possible, but we'll need a little bit more design work around it, if that makes sense.
Yep, I'm getting thumbs up.
I think from my side of things, the one thing that I really liked about the cloud management platform was the fact that it made it easy to novate away from an existing public cloud provider. So my understanding was that by novating the public cloud licensing across to Exponential-e, there could be a big cost saving there. That and the massive benefit from being able to use the frameworks for deploying new services into these public clouds. Those were the key take homes on the cloud management portal. Apart from that, a huge thank you today to Jonathan Bridges and his team for helping us out. We really appreciated you coming and spending some of your time to help us. But the most important thing for those who have joined the call is, what are the next steps? If you would like to have a workshop or a WebEx or a discussion about your current situation, whether this is to discuss your current connectivity requirements, whether you've got specific cloud projects that you're looking to get involved with, or it could just be as straightforward as you wanting to drive some cost efficiencies with your existing infrastructure. Do feel free to get in touch with either Ron or myself. I believe that we should be providing you with some contact details in the very near future for that. But from Systems Express, Primenet, and Exponential-e, a huge thank you to you all.
Yeah, just from the Exponential-e side, guys, thank you very much for attending. It really is appreciated. And obviously, like Duncan said, we're more than happy to do follow-up sessions with anyone who does have some further interest. We're always available to jump on a call, do a follow-up meeting, and have a more detailed conversation on anything that we've covered today. So please do feel free to get in touch.